Okay, good morning, Team Impact. We're moving on to lesson 5 today. Um, it's distance between the points. It's kind of a long lesson, so I'm going to go ahead and get involved in this. All right. Janice and Philip are asking to plot point B 4.5 units away from point A on the number line shown. Where should they plot point B, and will their points be the same location? Okay. So plot A, we need to go 4.5 units away. Okay, well, here's our half, right? So then I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, and put that right there, and that's going to be point B. See, I took it a half over. On this one, I'm going to go back the other way, okay? And let's go ahead and take care of our whole numbers. 1, 2, 3, 4.5 would put us there. Will their points be in the same location? No, they're not in the same location. Okay, they're in different locations because the original value that they gave me to go from are different. So the answer is no. If 2 points have the same x or y coordinate, then they lie in the same line, all right, line of the coordinate plane. The distance between the 2 points can be measured by counting using the scale. So that's what we're going to start with first, okay? All right, and then we're going to go into something called absolute value. So A to D is vertical, right? So the direction is vertical, vertical. And how many places is it? Well, let's go down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.5. Looks like to me. B to F, vertical, right? Vertical, up and down. All right, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.5. C to A. C to A, okay? Is it C to D? I'm sorry. Can't even read C to D. Okay. It's horizontal, right? And I'm going to abbreviate that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 units. 8 units. E to A. E to A is, again, that's horizontal. All right, and let's count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.5. Right? It's easy to lose your track on that, so make sure you use your pencil and count those. G to B is horizontal as well. I'll spell that out for you. G to B. 1, 2, 3, looks like 4 units, right? And that's just counting, right? Which ordered pair best describes a point that is located 3 units to the left of the origin and 3 units above the x-axis? 3 units to the left of the ordinate and 3 units above would be letter G, right? That would be letter G because it's -3 and 3. Point H, let me pull that down just a little bit for you there. Point H is located 3 units away from point B. Point H, 3 units away from point B, all right? Sam says that 4, 3 could represent point H. Is Sam correct? Well, let's see. 4, 3. Is that 3 units away from that? Sure is. So if I plotted that, that would be point B, all right? I'm sorry, point H right there. We could say H. Is that 3 units away? Yep, sure is. Because 1, 2, 3, it's horizontal, right? 3 away. 3 away. Okay. All righty. So let you get caught up there for a second. And let's continue on. Let's flip it. Now, we're going to use the coordinate plane to complete the table below. Determine which coordinates is the same distance between the 2 points. Okay, so point 1 is 0 and 6. Point 2 is 0 and 9. Excuse me, point 1 is 0 and -6. All right, 0 and -6 would be right there, right? And 0.2 is 0 and 9 would be right there, right? So, all right, coordinate in common. So what do they have in common? All right, when I look at these two, I see that they have the what? The x coordinate in common. They're both zeros, all right? And what you're going to notice that I could count those, but what I could do is add their absolute values of the other two coordinates, which are their y's, and I would say the absolute value of, all right, -6 is 6 plus 9 is 15. So they're 15 units away instead of sitting here counting. Let's go to the next one, right? If I have -8, or excuse me, if I have 8 and -2, 8 and -2, 8 and -2, right? And I have -4 and -2, and I have it right there, right? What coordinates do they have in common? The y coordinate, right? All right, so if I want to figure out the distance, I could count. But what I also could do is add their absolute values, right? So 8 plus the absolute value of -4 is 12. So those are 12 units away. Now, the next one is 3 and 6, okay? So let's go over 3 and 6, all right, and put that right there, okay? And I know it's 9 units away, and we're crossing the y-axis. So it's the y-axis, right? So what I also know that is the second coordinate of this has to be what? Has to be 6. Because if it's crossing the y-axis, it's going to end up being here, right? Now, what I'm asking myself is what number plus 3 is 9, right? Well, when I look at this, all right, when I look at this, it's going to be actually a -6. But, sorry, I shouldn't be there. So the -6 is there. So the absolute value of -6 plus the absolute value of 3 is 9. You could count this way, and if you did, 1, they're 9 units away, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And there it is. So this ordered pair is -6 and 6. Okay, can be a little bit confusing. So for now, double check with your counting. The next one is -8 and -1, which is right there. Okay, we're going to go across the x the x coordinate. All right, so excuse me, the x coordinate is going to be the same. That's what's going to be in common, right? So the x coordinate is -8. Now, what number plus the absolute value, all right, of 7 or of 1 is 6? Well, we know 5, right? So could it be 8 and 5? Yes. And there's where it would be. And those would be 6 units away, right? So that is one. Another one could be -8 and -7, right? -8 and -7 would bring us down right here. But we're in the same quadrant. And when they're in the same quadrant, right, we would subtract those values. Okay? So we'll talk more about that in class. The last one is the y coordinate, right? And it's going to vary. It's just going to be the y coordinate is the same, right? So our y. So here's our x, here's our y. So let's make the y coordinate 6. This is 6, all right? So I need two numbers that are going to add to 15 with opposite signs, okay? So, I don't know, let's see here. To 15, let's try 10 and -5. So 10 and 6 would take me here, right? Put those in parentheses. And -5 and 6 would bring me right there. So the distance from here to here is 15 units. And I know that because I add the absolute value of those two numbers to get 15. Okay. So we're going to do again more of that in class. All right. Jesse says that when the x-coordinates of 2 points are the same, you can find the distance between the 2 points by adding the absolute values of the y-coordinates. Use your findings above to determine if she is correct, right? And explain your thinking. All right. So here's what I would tell you, okay, to make this easy. All right. When you have numbers that have the same y coordinates or the same x coordinates, all right, and you're looking at the other number, if they have opposite signs, you add their absolute values. If they have the same sign, you're going to subtract the numbers. Okay? So keep that in mind. So, right? So, yes, if they have opposite signs, right? A positive and a negative, add absolute values. Same sign, subtract. Okay? All right. Let's continue on here. Create a rectangle below with a perimeter of 20 units and an area of 24. Okay, so we know that area is length times width. So I already have a length. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this is 6 units, right? So I know the other way has to be 4 because 6 times 4 is 24. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll put this one right there. So I've created that. And let's just call this letter D and letter C. Okay, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. That's 8. 8 plus 12, because this is 6, right, is 20 units. Perimeter, distance around, area is if I paint it, right? Next one, number 4. Create a rectangle below with a perimeter of 15 units and an area of 12 and a half. Okay. So another way to look at this is if you take this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? I have 1, 5, but I got to have an area. Something times 5 is going to be that. So essentially, we just said length times width gives us our area. Well, one of them is 5. So guess what? If I take my calculator and I take 12.5, watch, 12.5, and I divide it by 5, I get 2.5. So I know that 2.5 times this is 12. So what does that tell me? This has to be 2.5 the length. 1, 2 and a half. 1, 2 and a half. This is C and this is D, and there it is. Okay. So does this have a perimeter of 15? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And I may have made a mistake here because these intervals here are only a half. Uh-oh, I see my mistake. So let me change colors here. This is not 5. This is, right? This is a half. Let's see here. A half, 1, a half, 2, 2 and a half. So that is not 5. It's 2.5. Okay. So I've made a mistake here. We can't use these, right? This is what happens sometimes. I miss my intervals, right? So now, all right, now if I take 12.5 and divide it by 2.5, well, I know it's 5 because we just figured it out, but watch. 12.5 divided by 2.5 is 5. So I know that this needs to be 5 here, all right? And we're going to skip one here because it's an interval 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And that should be it right there. And if we come over here, this is going to be C and this is going to be D. I apologize. And I caught that when I looked at my perimeter, right? So I double checked myself. I said, uh-oh, that has to be 15 units, but that little thing wasn't 15 units. Now we're 15. This is 5, that. This times this gives us the area. 5 and 5 is 10. 2.5 and 2.5 is 15. So that is the perimeter. So, okay, this is kind of a tough lesson. We're starting to add absolute values. This is the homework today. Get it done for tomorrow. Have a good day.